take it away. They have been attending the meeting on the issue of blood, and Waziri will briefly.
Do it first.
Good morning. This morning we had a stakeholders meeting on blood transfusion, blood safety, blood storage, and to ensure that Kenyans will from now henceforth have adequate blood stored safely and equitably for distribution to the patients who need them. We realized we have gaps, and today's meeting therefore is to address those gaps. The gaps start with the issues of governance at the blood transfusion service. It also relates to legal framework that already exists, that now you know there is a bill at Parliament. And also, since blood transfusion has always been the national government's function, how do we at the county level relate in such a way now that health is devolved and patients are in the counties and the blood transfusion service is managed at the national level? How do we strengthen these linkages and to ensure that services at the county is strengthened and counties are also empowered to be able to provide adequate, safe blood for use at the county level? We have therefore had a very, very fruitful deliberation. A lot of stakeholders, donors, and also the issue of financing has come up. We know that the donors are pulling out of Kenya for various reasons because Kenya is now a middle-income country. And therefore, how do we as a country also step up to be able to step in financing not only blood but other medical products? So this is a very fruitful morning, and I would like to be very grateful to Waziri for providing the leadership and calling this meeting. And the meeting is still ongoing, and the deliberation details I think Waziri will provide. And I also want to appreciate the fact that he has come with a lot of zeal and are also involved the counties, and as you have seen, most of the times we are together with the Council of Governors, including even last night. We had a long meeting with Waziri until almost 11 p.m. With Governor Oparanya, myself and him, in order to make sure that health and other intergovernmental issues on health are worked together, not just pitting government, national government and counties, but how to work together and deliver for our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor Kuti. Not to belabor the point and not to repeat, I just want to once again say, this morning the stakeholders have been called because of the problems that exist in the blood transfusion department of our ministry. The idea moving forward is to address this matter holistically and have a paradigm shift in the way we think about, the way we seek for, the way we store, the way we manage blood transfusion in this country. And I don't want to come to the conclusion of what the meeting is deliberating, because deliberations are still going on. But what I can tell you is that the stakeholders have made certain proposals going forward. For example, the issue of the bill in Parliament, and we want to manage blood not as a department in a ministry, but a standalone authority within the ministry, as a saga within the ministry, because clearly we have not been giving sufficient attention to this area that is so critical. So we are departing from the point of view of a patient needs blood, a mother delivering a child needs blood, and working backwards from that perspective, ask ourselves, what therefore do we need to do to ensure that there is no shortage, The blood is where it is required. It is there at the right time. It is there at the right quantity. And it is there as good, clean blood. We don't want a situation where we give somebody contaminated blood. As you are aware, there has been gaps within this sector. We have even asked the criminal department, the criminal investigations department, DCI, to intervene in the system, because we understand there are people who, very surprisingly and very immorally, are actually selling blood, sometimes even outside the borders of this country, and that is just making the situation even worse than it would otherwise be. As Governor Kuti has rightly pointed out, the idea is to regionalize the whole blood collection process. And one of the areas that we want to give weight to is addressing the people who actually give us blood and asking ourselves, who are the blood donors that we have? Blood donors are patriots. They are patriots who want to support other Kenyans. And they are people who give their own. They give their blood, is very personal. And they give it so that they can support somebody else. A young man will give blood so that he can support a mother. A young lady will give blood so that they can support a sister who is also unwell. Or give blood so that somebody who has an accident can get blood. So we want people to think about this. If you are a border rider, you want to know that if another border rider or your mother or your father were to be taken to hospital, there will be blood there. And the only way you get blood is if you donate. If you donate blood. But people who are blood donors also want to know that blood is for the purpose for which they are giving. And they want to know that there is a very transparent way in which it is managed. So these are the deliberations that we are carrying out today. We also want to understand how we can predicate this blood management on ICT, so that it is possible to trace and track blood from the minute you give it to the minute it is used. We know where it went through, we know who gave it, and we know who it was given to. So these are some of the changes we are discussing today, and hopefully by this evening, in another 1 hour or so, when they finish the deliberations, by this evening we will come up with a proper framework of how we are going to manage blood in our country. Even as we wait for Parliament to enact the proposed law that we are going to take to them, we are also going to be taking measures to, through regulation, create a framework that can immediately embark on the changes that we want to make, so that when the law is passed, it will simply transit into that framework legally. But that is not to the fact that we are waiting for the law to be enacted does not mean that we cannot immediately start making changes. We are also very happy that the government itself, the donor community, have expressed that they, as long as we have got a transparent framework, they are willing and able to fund us for this purpose. So thank you very much indeed.
Take questions. Any questions?
If there's a question, we can take 2 questions. Yes, please.
In terms of the bill, there's already another bill of finance that's been taken are we going to mesh these 2 bills, or we going to go with the bill from the house? And the second thing, in terms of budget and budget gap, SEPA has no budget. How are we going to increase the net budget? Because the saga, it will rely on funding from the government. So that's the way forward.
Okay. First, the bill is actually already in Parliament. It is the same bill we are talking about. But what we are doing is, as stakeholders, it is not debated yet. So it's a bill in Parliament. We are involving stakeholders so that they can input, their contributions to the bill. But let's not also forget that a lot of them had actually contributed. But there are new things that have come up. For example, the issue of the counties. You know, how do we work with the counties to ensure that every county, for example, can have a blood storage so that if anything happens, they are able to access it quickly. That's an expensive exercise. There are things that are going to be done immediately. There are things to be done in the medium term, and there are activities for the long term. That's one. On the issue of PEPFAR, we are very grateful, and we are very grateful to PEPFAR and USAID generally for the support that they have given this sector. And I think it is good for us to call a spade and take responsibility, because the transition from PEPFAR funding to Kenya government funding is what did not occur as it was supposed to occur. So we are filling the gap as a Kenya government. We are filling the gap, and but as I also said, we have also got supporters who are willing to step in. Specifically, the World Bank has been willing to step in and assist, even as we try to transit again the second time to a self-funding mechanism. I think we must, as Kenyans, face this issue head-on. We cannot be relying on donors for our own blood. We have to fund it as a government, and we have to fund it as Kenyans. Well, I really can't comment on the investigations that are currently going on. I think you read in the papers yesterday that DCI has already stepped in. Obviously, when an investigation is going on, you don't want to disclose everything about it. But what I can tell you is that there's an investigation going on, and we expect arrests to be made. Thank you all very much. Yes.
Yesterday, the WHO declared coronavirus epidemic. So, what does this mean to our country, and are we likely to see more contamination?
You know, as I said yesterday in Parliament, although I really don't want to address coronavirus here today, because we are going to do that later. And but what I can say is, as I said yesterday, handling coronavirus is a fluid, moving target. It is very dynamic. There is a lot of dynamism involved in how to handle it, because it is changing. The situation globally is changing every day. In Kenya, we have been lucky so far because we have not had a case internally. But we are making all preparations to ensure that if we do, we are ready for it. And I would like to say here today that on Sunday at 11 o'clock, we will be carrying out a simulation of a real case at the Bagathi Hospital. We are going, and this I think I would beg the media to say, because I don't want, when the ambulances start whiling away, for people to think now we have a real case situation. So please inform the public. We will be carrying out a simulation. It's an exercise. It's a test case for a real situation happening and what we do when that happens. We are going to do this on Sunday at 11 o'clock at Bagathi, and part of it is this preparation that we are making. Yesterday, I also appealed to our political class, the members of parliament, the members of the county assemblies, the churches, those people who hold meetings and hold barazas, the chiefs, the sub-chiefs, people who hold those meetings, to start themselves being active in sensitizing the public about the measures that we ought to take to continue being safe and to prevent any widespread outbreak of this disease. More importantly is that we are appealing to citizens to take citizen responsibility. This is a time that we cannot continue with business as usual. Very simple things, hygiene issues that are being talked about. Please continue to wash your hands. If you start coughing or if you start experiencing signs, self-quarantine. seek our offices to come and see. We have got a rapid response unit. If you are feeling anything, we can be there with you very quickly. That is why the counties are here. At the county level, beginning tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. Beginning tomorrow, all counties are going to start practicing again the same simulations for this exercise, to know in the event of an outbreak, what do we do? You know, the hospitals are preparing the wards, the isolation wards that they'd use for this purpose. The level 4 and level 5 hospitals are being made ready. By tomorrow, we expect most of them to be ready. On the 15th, the deadline we gave was on the 15th. So in terms, the protective gear is already at the county levels, in each county, in each level 4 hospital. So we are working away to ensure that we make sure that in case of a problem, we are ready. Obviously, we continue to hope and pray that this does not happen, and that is why we are monitoring the situation every day through the center at the Ministry of Health, and watching the world as this disease evolves. I have called and I appeal again for non-profiling of individuals. I have said, let us not profile people in a xenophobic way, so that when you see somebody from Asia, you immediately assume that this person has got coronavirus. It is not true. I mean, they are only, if you do the maths and you subtract or do percentages, then you'll find that there is no need to fear anything. And we have made sure anybody coming into Kenya, nobody comes into this country now without proper surveillance being conducted. So thank you all very, very much indeed.